Hello, Peter.
Morning.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. I need to comb my hair. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay, how's that?
Yep, there you go.
That's there's a light there. Let's see.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, if it doesn't allow you to have more than one Zoom meeting open at a time, you have to end the other meeting.
Living with like a bunch of savages without the technology we need to get things done.
Being in two places at once.
Peter, could you put your mailing address in the chat, please? Because we need to add it to our articles of incorporation.
Sure.
And Ilan, I'm using your LA address.
Okay. The Robertson Boulevard?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Joanna has a question for you.
Oh, so last week we put you in as secretary, and I didn't ask you because I didn't, forgot. I completely forgot after I looked at, and then I looked at the document and I went, oh wait, I was supposed to talk to him about that.
What does it mean to be a secretary?
You just take notes and take notes. Would you?
Yeah, I don't think that's the right job for me.
Not the right job for you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, can you have an officer have more than one job for a while? Like,
What do you mean?
well, when you have a board, when you have an officer, can they be more than one? Typically, it's not normal, but can they be more than one, hold one office at a time?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, if it's just a matter of just if you need my name to fill some form or something, that's fine. But I don't know if I can take more responsibilities right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, right now we're just gonna put you in as the guy in the form, and then I'll just continue doing what I'm doing, which is writing
Okay.
notes and taking a recording, which is I finally figured out how to automatically turn on the recording because last week I forgot. Yeah. Yeah. Never again.
So we're being recorded.
You are being recorded, yes.
And is Rocio's last name Herbert?
Yes.
Okay.
And then do we want to add, so we're in the articles of incorporation, everyone, what F is doing. We had another meeting before this and we were trying to get everything done before we got here, but what F's doing is making the final edits to the articles of incorporation. And one of the things that it includes are the names and addresses of the directors. And those are all the people that used to be in the advisor board, in the advisor level, that's currently listed on our website. Yeah. So the question for me is Durwood Zelke a director? Because he's an advisor.
But we would have to ask permission if we were to make him a director. And also, and if that were the case, inform him of any formal accountability that gives him.
Yeah, well, up to this point, it doesn't really, it's just another word for advisor. So it doesn't give him any specific, but it does, however, give him voting rights. Along with a title and participation. So we would need to talk with him then, right, Peter?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, which is always a good thing anyway.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So let's see, who we got on the, so you've got, you added Jim, you added Patricia, you added Julia, you added Durwood. Well, actually, we should probably leave them off until we actually get the answer to that question. Rocio,
But, well,
Rocio
Bill
asked
Twi-
to be removed from the website, I believe because she's on the methane removal company.
so Rocio is asking to be just be removed from the CRSGB as an advisor.
But right, Peter, you asked me
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We will remove her. Yeah, Durwood was the other one. And Brian, we weren't going to make him a director. He has the potential, once we finally have a budget, we'll inevitably perhaps hire him as our marketing person. So we'll leave
Right.
it as a set aside potential future staff as we have the need and funds for. Is there anybody else that I'm missing? Can you read the list up? Just so
Bill
that
Twist.
So let's see, I've got Joanna, Ephraim, Ilan, Carol, Peter, Ted, Julia, Patricia, and Jim.
Who did you say, Peter?
Oh, on the advisors is also Bill Twist and
Bill Twist.
oh, there was one other. Oh, Mindahi.
No, I think Mindai was there, but he also asked to be removed.
Oh, okay.
And Bill Twist is another person to ask, yes?
Yeah.
Oh, so this is
Good
good.
morning, Ted, or afternoon, whatever. It is. Probably still morning for you. Just for amusement, I got up for a flight, but the flight got canceled. So rather than going back to bed, I figured I'd hang out with you guys for an hour and then go back to bed.
Oh, that's right. What
So-
time is it in Australia? In Australia?
New Zealand, it's 4:30.
AM.
So since I was up, I said, well, I can
Ah,
join my buds, my best buds.
well, thank you for that. Okay.
And does anybody happen to have Carol's address?
Yeah, I do.
So, just as a set aside, if we could all, either, let's see, probably just send me all of y'all's addresses, contact information, because I'm just gonna create. I know that in the shared documents for CRSGB, there's actually an older contact list. And I just thought, well, may as well just create a contact list so we have all of that available for people. Yeah. You don't mind.
So F, you got Carol Douglas's snail mail address in the
In the chat?
Yeah.
okay.
Thank
chat.
you.
Okay, good.
Might be an easy way for us to do it, just put it all in the chat.
Ah.
That'll be saved probably
Yeah.
at the end. Yeah.
So yeah, just put your,
So just to be clear, if you said you're going to use my LA address for this, or do I need to send the Israeli address?
As you wish.
No, I think you can use the LA address for this as well.
The joys of creating oneself as an organization.
Right. So what is our agenda this morning?
Initially, it was to talk about this, what exactly we're talking about right now, and then to get updates from folks, and then to I hadn't gotten a response from Brian, so we don't really have an update from him about where he left. He was going to be looking at a number of things. He had a number of action items from last week, but I haven't talked with him, so it may be a much shorter meeting than we usually have. But, yeah.
Good thing I didn't pour myself any coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, no sense waking yourself up and then trying to go back to sleep and then.
Yeah. Hey, the cool thing is I reserved an Uber to go to the airport and canceled. They said no charge.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
You have nice Uber people in New Zealand.
My father knew two jokes, Peter. You just reminded me of one of them. It's like guy comes home to his wife. He's been out of work for a while, and he goes, "You're not going to believe it. I just made $40. How did you make $40?" Well, I was walking through the park on the way home, and there was a sign that said "No spitting, fine $20." So I spat twice and I ran.
Okay.
Not funny.
Too late for that.
All right. So we've got, oh my gosh, I filled out this. Have you ever had this experience where you fill something out online and then you wish as soon as you push the button that you had not pushed that button, because suddenly your phone blows up or your emails blow up or something, it's just put you in this process for things. I'm like, ugh. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So we've gotten everybody's contact who's on the phone. That's really good. And let's go ahead with, is there anything else, F, that you need for that document, or was that it?
No, I'm just plugging it all in while we're talking.
All right, good. Any updates? Let's start with anybody who wants to go first.
Well, I've
So
been.
yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go.
I don't have much to really say. I've been giving talks. They've been interesting. Been focusing on creating climate restoration as an idea whose time has come, or just having everyone say, putting tagline of restoring the climate on what things that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And people love it. And I noticed there's no structure for it, so I don't know what impact that'll have. But that's more of a foundation focus than what we're doing. Yeah, there's some potential funding opportunities coming up, but there's always potential funding opportunities coming up. No action required, so I'm not going to take time on it at this point.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So it's strange. I haven't done anything much for the governance this week. Alon?
Yeah, I have a couple of updates. First of all, we're making good progress with the Technion. Once they heard, I don't know if that's the case, but what happened is that once they heard there is a potential
Alon, let me just interrupt. Not everybody might know on the call what the Technion is. Could you explain that first?
Oh, yes, thank you. Peter's proposal for the greenhouse gas measurement, the satellite, analyzing satellite data and so on. So Peter's been talking to Arizona State University, I believe, and I've been talking here in Israel to the Technion, which is let's say the Israeli version of MIT. Right, so it's one of the most prestigious technical academy entity in Israel. So I reached out to one of the professors there. He was interested. I gave him Peter's book. I sent him the proposal. Followed up a few weeks later once there was funding available, and we're now in progress. The professor met with Peter, asked him some technical questions. Today, this morning, I met with the vice president of research of the Technion. And I sent you the update. I don't know, Peter, if you saw, but he gave us the green light to move forward and reduce the regular overhead that the Technion charges on these kind of donations from the usual 19% to the minimum of 2%. So more money is going to go towards research. He loves what we're doing. He's also interested from the mathematics and image analysis perspective. But he's a very busy guy, so he referred us to another person that's supposed to be the guy to bring it all together, right? So to bring in the donor and the professor and just make that happen. So David is going to talk to him, and yeah, so that's really really great.
That's really great.
So that's one update. The second update is that Peter and I have been discussing lately to create a new entity in the climate restoration ecosystem, the Climate Restoration Alliance. The purpose of the alliance would be eventually to have the UN amend their stated goal, which is right now stabilize greenhouse levels at blah, blah, blah. And we want to add to that restore and stabilize, right? So it's not enough to stabilize at 450 or 500, but we actually want to restore and then stabilize at 300. So
the current one alone is stabilized at no particular level.
Right.
Yeah, as opposed to at restore and stabilize now makes it clear what level. Good.
And so that obviously makes a lot of sense to us, but we need to somehow have the UN get it as well. And so over the next few weeks, we're going to, Peter and I, we're going to brainstorm, and from time to time, I'm going to bring ideas to you as a think tank. I think eventually what's going to happen is the Climate Restoration Alliance would empower the Safety and Governance Board to make sure that we're going to get there safely, right? So we see the Safety and Governance Board as a core member of this alliance, as well as the foundation and the Climate Restoration Network and so on. And I'm just going to say at this point that we want to create a platform where people can sign up, organizations and so on can sign up, adopt the Climate Restoration Resolution or pledge, take this or that action, also pay a low membership fee to fund the operations, and then also at some point become ambassadors and then bring more people and organizations in, right? So there's going to be different aspects of the alliance, faith groups and youth and First Nations, scientists, and so on and so forth. And we're probably going to start with kind of a middle out approach, working with organizations like Citizen Climate Lobby, the Rotary International, which we're in discussions with them. Of course, we have the Isaac Walton League of America, and then use the same approach of having local chapters or clubs or districts adopt the resolution, firstly on an individual basis, then as the whole club or district or branch or chapter, and then going up to the whole organization. And then once we have these international organizations aligned and committed to climate restoration, we'll take it to the next level, which is the local and federal, state and federal government, and then all the way to the UN. So that's the very, very rough outline of the plan. And if it's okay, from time to time, I'll take 5-10 minutes with this group, because I think we have a very strong thinking capacity here, and see how it all kind of integrates together.
Wow, you have been
a
man for the last week. You too. Too busy.
Yeah, even from New Zealand, Peter doesn't stop. Yes.
But Ilan, if I can add, as you were discussing that, I was thinking about the talk I gave at the university here, and there was a IPCC contributor who was at the talk, and was a little bit alarmed at the idea of, it's not clear what, but let's say at adjusting the goals. Not like she was objected to it, but she was alarmed, like, wait a minute, this, what do you mean change the goal? Occurred to me that it would be, we might use one of these structures as a host for monthly talks for the sort of scientific and policy community. So the foundation has monthly events, I believe, for volunteers. And of course, the Citizens Climate Lobby does stuff like that. And the host for high-level talks, it sounds like it might be the CRSGB and or the Alliance, but probably the CRSGB. I'm not sure. Yeah. Any, does that make sense? And any thoughts as you guys are digesting that idea? And yes, so a place where scientists and policymakers, who don't want to spend their time talking with the volunteers, at that level, but actually want to learn new material at a technical level and with their peers, would engage.
What's coming up for me, Peter, as I was listening to you, is as we partner with these organizations, right, like Citizen Climate Lobby and Rotary and so on, they already have structures in place to address specific audiences. So I think that once we get to the district and the international levels, we can partner with them and then bring our content into their structures. And then we can strategically think of who are the organizations that we need to partner with in order to reach the audience that we want, that they already have.
Yeah, we might be saying different things altogether. I'm not sure. I'm thinking that, imagine the scientists at the IPCC who are interested in governance, right? They're very interested and show up at the talks, that we do a series of talks for people at that level.
Okay, I see. It's a little bit different than what I heard the first time, and if that's the case, then yeah, probably CRSGB is the place to do it.
Yeah.
And are you talking about live or virtual gatherings?
Oh, virtual. But that would give the CRSGB a lot more standing, just because we're convening a place where professionals in this area are invited. And my automatic sense is, oh, they'll just scoff at us, but they won't be able to scoff for very long. You just start, and I think people start showing up. And monthly sounds about right. What we might do is start each of those with a 5-minute overview of climate restoration, because there'll be new people coming in every week, and then discuss some topic.
Now there's a place for a video.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, video not only for that, but other events that we might hold, because just something very concise. And video just does such a beautiful job of conveying it, succinctly, so that just to orient people who might not have a clue what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We don't have to reinvent the wheel or do the spiel over again every time.
Interesting. Yeah.
Peter, when you speak, do you typically have someone videoing your presentation?
Typically that's the case on this talks series. That hasn't been the case.
I would encourage you to, whenever possible, get the highest quality videography and just video everything, because you'd be able to cut. You might get really hot on a subject someday for 3 minutes, and
Right.
and you can a good editor could make some fairly comprehensive presentations out of bits and pieces here and there.
You're here.
I've got
Right.
one of my friends who was running for Congress or governor or something did that, and it was amazing the good stuff that would come out just in like I say, he'd get hot on something for about 3 minutes, and then they would use that.
Right. Right. Okay, good. Carol's on vacation, but let me just make a note. We'll figure out what that would look like. Thanks.
Any other updates?
Is there any update, Peter, from Mendahi?
Yeah, I got a text from him this morning, which I haven't read because I just woke up. Looking at my that we're things are moving forward, pending my here it is. Yeah, so we're setting up a meeting. He was visited the Dalai Lama. I don't know if he had a chance to discuss climate restoration. He was intending to with the Dalai Lama last week on Sunday. And
My old job.
yeah.
Sorry, just how easily you're just saying, so he's meeting with the Dalai Lama and
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting community that those kinds of things happen. Yes, because John Bowie has done stuff with the Dalai Lama, and I forgot who else. So we're sort of traversing at those levels now, which is nice. Anyway, so the answer is yes, things are happening, and I can't put it into a sentence this morning.
Anything from you, Brian? I know you had a couple of things that got handed off to you last week. Just to
So
start.
I am putting together a list of folks. I'll send you a sample. Basically, I'm doing trying to identify people by looking at LinkedIn, looking at conferences, to who's speakers, just Googling journal articles. Not putting a ton of info other than a name, email, quick line or two about experience, and then a link to a bio. I should have stuffed, a really good list next week.
Okay. Yeah, I was doing the same thing where I was because I've started reading everything. But I did this interesting search for women climate restoration, which was it gave me a fascinating result.
Really?
Pacific Islander climate restoration folks, which gave me an even more fascinating group. Brown and Black climate restoration experts, which gave me a whole nother realm of groups of people.
Oh, that's amazing.
There's a whole constituency of African American women, men who've been in this business of climate restoration, and they have a very different. It's like their interests are exactly the same as ours to make an impact, right? But the view comes through the lens of environmental justice, just really assuring that whatever happens to all, not just to the wealthy nations and not just to this and that and the other. And from the Pacific Islander perspective, the perspective is all about the ocean.
Mhm.
And the
That's so
ocean
neat.
and the whole realm of the ocean. So it's really been good. So I think I've got like 20 or 30 people now on this list. So I'll send it to you, Brian.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And also that was the reason why I was saying I keep getting pinged on my phone because I signed up for, I was looking at graduate programs.
Right.
And, you know, because as soon as I started reading, especially the one from this Dr. Hamani King, and I was reading something from her, and I thought, I've always wanted to go to University of Hawaii in Mana'o, but most of their programs like this are not online. So in any case, you know, my dream of someday going back to school. In any case, so yeah, I'll send that to you, Brian, and that'll be great. Yeah. Very good.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Mhm. All right.
Trisha, anything for you? Or are you frozen? Oh, there you are.
Oh,
No.
sorry. I don't think there's any updates this week. None that I can think of. I do have some, Peter, you introduced me to Amy Echevarria. You introduced us online, and she has provided some contacts in some of the religious press. So one of the things I'm currently in a project right now, but I will be submitting the article that I wrote a little while ago about like the spiritual dimension of climate restoration.
Mm.
So now I have some contacts, you know, in some different publications. So, but other than that, I don't think I have an update.
Okay.
Well, I wonder if, I had this idea a minute ago of monthly, maybe quarterly talks, technical climate restoration talks. What, maybe what I'm imagining, well, what if we had also a quarterly sort of spiritual community talk on climate restoration?
Mhm.
I think
So
that would be great. Yeah.
that might establish our reputation and authority.
Mhm.
Yeah. And,
Yay,
you know, we've
Brian's
made,
nodding his head. I'm happy.
we've made some, you know, contacts sort of one-on-one with some folks who are in, you know, environmental interfaith spaces, but to have them start to connect with one another in a gathering like that would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I did speak, I think this probably happened before our last meeting, so I may have mentioned already that I spoke with a fellow at Climate Justice Ministries a couple of weeks ago. So anyway, you know, sowing the seeds.
Mhm.
And the fellow in Dallas, I don't know, Peter, did why am I now not thinking of his name? The person at the Thanksgiving Foundation.
Yeah, I didn't touch base with him when I was there.
Okay. Okay. Well, I recommended your book and he said that he had read it and seemed excited. So anyway,
Okay.
yeah, I think it'd be great to start bringing people together around this and talking about it.
Yeah. Joanna, how do we want to move that forward?
That is a very good question. Probably, I know we're missing a few people, but kind of create a little committee to look at the potential for creating something like that, where it's probably start off quarterly, but with the intention of looking at how would we want to structure it so that the format is always set up the same way and it just different people would drop into it on a quarterly basis. So anybody want to be on the committee? I really suck at this stuff, by the way, about asking for volunteers, because, you know, we're all volunteers, but, you know, anyone at all.
Well, I volunteered myself and F.
You volunteer yourself and okay.
And I can see Brian smiling.
Yes.
I'm keeping tab of like people we should meet and chat to, and we'll always share that.
Yeah. Well, let's
F, having spoken for you, what are your thoughts?
I serve at the pleasure of the president.
well, F, and we'll just start out with that little group. That includes me, but too, by the way, so you know.
Great.
And then so we'll set up another call. during the
Oh,
week.
great.
We'll start this process.
I can get really excited about this. There's a quarterly call for, one for the sort of scientific and one for the,
Mhm.
what would we call it, Patricia?
Climate Restoration Forum.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or governance. So Climate Restoration Governance Forum. But does it make sense to have a separate one for the scientific and one for the faith and First Nation community?
I think so, and I think there's plenty of opportunities to cross-pollinate.
Mhm. So I like that term forum, because that's a big umbrella, and some of the events could be geared towards scientific folks, and some of the gatherings could be geared towards spiritual leaders.
Yeah.
I would suggest you think about having client restoration forum, and maybe even make that plural, forums, and then break out specific ones for various constituencies or communities.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Climate Restoration Faith Forum, Climate Restoration Science Forum,
Mhm.
and so on.
I have another question that sort of ties in with
Wow, and besides a Climate Restoration Policy Forum.
Policy Forum, yes.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going. Yeah, sorry, Patricia.
Yeah, so where are things with the Pachamama Alliance? Have we made any? I know Bill is on our website, but it seems like such a natural alliance with them. So I'm just wondering where things are with that.
No news since I had just a few words with Lynn Twist at EarthX, which must have been 2 or 3 weeks ago. So no news since then.
I'm curious, this question to you, Peter, but to everybody. If we want to bring in Pachamama, does it make sense to bring them into the Safety and Governance Board or to bring them into the Alliance? Like
Alliance.
in my mind, sorry?
The Alliance.
I would think Alliance.
Yeah, I think they could
Bill
be
into those, Bill on the board, but the organization into the
Yeah.
Alliance.
they could be a founding member of the Alliance, I think, even.
Mhm.
Alongside the foundation and so on.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
So we will talk about it next time. I had some thoughts since we talked yesterday.
Yeah.
Very good. So we now have pretty close to final drafts of the Articles of Incorporation and the bylaws. So really the next and most obvious step is to go ahead and hire somebody to actually file that paperwork for us. But we come up against what we come up against as a group of people trying to form a nonprofit with no money. We have no funding. So I wanted to make sure that all the paperwork was ready for us to do it when we finally do have funding to go, and so that's now complete. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the documents, non-editable versions into the shared documents so you can all read them, which I would highly recommend that you do. Not just because it's us, but because every nonprofit and the layout of the nonprofit, the board members especially, and we've also listed the members of the board as that's our only membership, are the board members themselves. Are there in the world of nonprofit, we're fiduciary, we hold a fiduciary responsibility. So there's a lot of fiduciary conversation in those documents, and it's always really good to just read it. Just to have it and have your copy and so on and so forth. So I'll be posting that document, those documents when we have it. And then we probably should spend some time at our next meeting looking at funding and how we're going to start connecting that train and starting to move forward on that. I have no idea what that looks like. So, but to get that process started, because now that we've gotten the foundation and we're creating what is going to effectively become events for us to start to host and create, we need to get on the train for funding. Yes. We also will be needing to hire some staff. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anything else for anybody?
So for funding, we've had discussions, and it's 5 a.m. here, so I can't remember any of them. Does anyone remember what funding ideas were on the table?
Was it before? It must have been before me, before I joined.
Maybe there weren't.
Oh,
I can't remember. I mean, I should, if there were, I should remember them. I remember
like
had
maybe there was
conversations, but I don't think we came to any conclusion.
We did have a brainstorming session in one of these meetings a while back, and it was kind of the usual suspects, but we didn't carry it any further. In fact, I think you had said let's hold off on that conversation until about April or May. So here we are.
so here we are, perfectly timed, a conversation about finances and the potential future for us. Because the first thing on the docket obviously will be make us official. So paying the attorney and then getting started with moving forward with events and coordination of this quarterly climate restoration forum.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I should just point out that I've been sitting on climaterestorationforum.com for a number of years since Ilan and Joseph and Peter and I had a breakfast together. And as those guys know, I've been pushing kind of the larger Climate Restoration Expo concept for a while. I spoke with Joanna recently, just briefly, about how I still would like to do something like that as a private endeavor with the various members of the ecosystem, first and foremost, the foundation and CRSGB as founding organizers, the sponsors, but where the sponsorship would actually work in the opposite direction, where a percentage of all of the partner and attendee fees and everything would go towards CRSGB to promote governance of this industry. So that idea is what I've been saving that domain name for, but that's not the important thing. That is the fundraising effort that I've been considering is how to get the entire community to be paying for its own governance via CRSGB. I think there's a possibility of getting hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, through that approach. Let's let the IBMs pay for it and make some donations.
Oh.
I love that. One of the beneficial outcomes of that is when people pay money, they're committed. So it actually tends to lead the mental commitment as you watch yourself write a check, and it's like, oh, I must be committed.
Right.
So inviting them to do something which is sort of a morally good thing to do, all of a sudden they're committed because they wrote a little check.
Yep.
Back to
Another
that
question.
forum thing, though, I kind of like the idea of crsgb.org/forums /policy.
Yeah.
You know, make sure that we keep it in the fold as its own unique thing, and then those forums could take on a live manifestation at a major global event as part of the content and you know, bringing those but you get it. I'm putting together a proposal for that, so we'll talk about that another day.
Okay.
Oh,
But
fantastic.
you're talking about piggybacking on another existing event where,
No, I'm
or your own event, our own event?
yeah, I mean, I'll take 30 seconds to explain the theory here is we are in a very common situation here where we are always trying to say, okay, Earth Day, how do we shoehorn ourselves and our message into Earth Day amidst 400 other competing messages? And we have to do it their way, and in one way or another, we kind of have to pay for it. As opposed to what if we created our own major global event, the Climate Restoration Expo or the Climate Restoration Forum, done as a private for-profit event with certain key organizations invited to be organizing sponsors, most of which will have to pay, but CRSGB and the Foundation for Climate Restoration would not. They would have a special role. And therefore we get to, and as the organizing partner of the event, the responsibility of the foundation and CRSGB and the Climate Restoration Network, et cetera, would be to help frame the narrative framework for the entire event. And that way, everybody has to shoehorn themselves into our narrative as opposed to us, being the little guys on a Sunday, waving, hey, look at us. That's the theory in general, just to have greater control of that and to have the money flowing in the opposite direction.
I want to just add to that. I love this idea, and I told you I talked to Chuck Tomaselli from the Rotary International today. He's basically running to be the president of the whole East North America Climate and Sustainability Task Force of the Rotary. It's a very long name. But he basically came back from a conference talking about merging 3 big districts into one big one. And all 3 chairperson of these districts committed to climate restoration. So he got basically 3 out of 3. And what he said is that everybody he talks to just says yes. And not only that, they say, how can I take it, to my district and then move it forward? So what I'm trying to say is that he's been using these words. Climate restoration is an idea whose time has come. And he says he's seeing that evidence wherever he goes. So I think it's a very timely opportunity to create such a conference. I think now we have the critical mass to actually have lots of people show up.
Mm-hmm.
And we could get fun. The Rotaries love funding things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And in their meetings, the thing that people love to do is, here's a project, who's going to give me $10 or $20 for it? And all of a sudden you've raised $140.
Yeah. And I've had some, full disclosure, I've had some sideline conversations about this concept with Joanna, Peter with you a few times over the years, Ilan all the time, because we talk about everything all the time, and Brian as well, because it'd be a very strong media component to my strategy for developing it. And so I'm putting together a comprehensive plan to share with you all. My preference would be to do it as a private entity, as a for-profit entity, giving us much greater ability to steer the money as needed. But its real goal would be to take 25% of proceeds and send it to governance, which I think anybody that comes in as a corporate sponsor will understand the significance of.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, those corporations, I mean, they have a budget for donations, but they have a really big budget for PR and a really big budget for event attendance and sponsorship, and to get their names on different sub events and on the folders and on the website and all that. And it's also a nice thing because unlike an organization like CRSGB, where we only really provide value and we've already spent a huge amount of time and energy into creating our certification process, et cetera. The beauty of an event, especially a large event, is it exists the moment that you say it does. It's black magic. It's so it's, as soon as we announce February 2025, San Diego, the Climate Restoration Forum, as soon as we announce it, it exists and we can start collecting money.
Mhm.
And you fill in the content along the way, and you fill in the speakers along the way, and you flesh out the narrative along the way. But we obviously have a big head start on all of that, just because of our existing community and our existing very well hammered out narrative and all the language for it, and all of these amazing organizations that Peter and Alon have been inventing in the space. So just to echo what Alon echoed from the gentleman from the Rotary, the time has come. Let's have a really big canvas. So more on that to come as that develops. That would be that's the fundraising effort I'll be focusing on.
F is probably the perfect person to do that, because he has lots of experience of every possible aspect of this production.
Yay.
We're behind you, F.
Yeah, but so back to other ideas for fundraising.
Oh, hold on. I just wanted to catch. I love what one of you guys said. Climate restoration is an idea whose time has come. I never said it that way. Much better than the way I was saying it. Climate restoration is an idea whose time has come.
That's it. It's done.
That is a slide going to be later today, a slide in my deck.
So it is written, so it shall be.
I know. Is that funny? It's like, it's so obvious. Of course, we've always said that. No, what was it? F or Alon or both who said that in the last minute?
Alon had said that the gentleman from the Rotary that hit all three targets said that.
Like Chuck, yes, good.
Chuck, yes.
Maybe I'll give him credit.
Right. Wow. Once again, some great work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything that anyone wants to add for the good of the order? Or are we completing early?
Only that Carol and I had a conversation further to the point of her taking on the role of treasurer, but being frightened of numbers. And so I assured her that I will get the numbers to date from Alon. I will handle, I mean, we're going to have so few transactions for a while. It's a 5-minute effort really, and printing a report and making sure that Barb and Ted have copies of that report, and that all the board members have a copy of that report, and just simply that Carol states that she has read it and approves it. And those will be weekly reports, monthly reports, and quarterly reports, and of course an annual report. So I'll stay on top of that until we have the enough money coming in that there are enough transactions that it both warrants and allows us to afford somebody to take on a role of treasurer appropriately then. So Carol's very comfortable with that, and wanted me to share that with everybody, that she is comfortable with that. So.
Great. Well, related to that, who do we want to fund us? So after you talked about companies that are in the space, like it would be it would make a lot of sense for EDF and WRI to fund us, right? And anyone else?
That's a longer term vision, but I think eventually insurance companies.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
That would be really the biggest target.
And who's recording this? Who? I'm not going to record this, but this is.
It's again. I recorded the meeting. The meeting is always being recorded now, so I'll have
well, just to make sure it comes back up as a action item in the very near future.
And I can tell you, we're now talking to two of the largest insurance companies in Israel to be sponsors in our the Climate Restoration Israeli Grants Fund that we're setting up. So the first one was very excited and said, well, we want to have it for our own city. So we might do something just for Petah Tikva where they are, and they're going to bring other businesses and so on. We have a meeting with the second largest company in the beginning of June. So obviously we're far away from talking about actually financing climate restoration. We're just talking about local projects right now, but at least, we're getting our foot in the door.
Yeah.
In addition to insurance companies, there are international organizations of insurance companies and professionals. Ilan, what was in our previous life together? What was that organization? That
Swiss Re?
No, it was like the IPP or something.
There was something for responsible insurance.
Yeah.
PRI maybe.
PRI.
PRI.
I think that's what it was, or something close to that, or the IPP or something that he was trying to get us. He'd been a previous director there before, and he was pounding on their doors to try to get them to focus on the SDGs.
Yeah,
but yeah, those are the types of organizations I think we should target.
And how about, I'm looking at Patricia, what about if, imagine my congregation, having a little drive to have people support it from from under the congregation, from the synagogue, church, whatever.
I think
that could be a possibility. I mean, most congregations are not the source of tremendous amounts of wealth. A lot of congregations are already struggling to survive. So, but there are possibilities, and also there are denominational organizations, like in the Presbyterian Church, for example, they take up special offerings a couple of times a year. Like there's a peacemaking offering and there's a 1 great hour of sharing offering. And in those offerings, I think, substantial money is raised because all the congregations across the country are giving to it. So if this could be designated as beneficiary or one of the beneficiary organizations for an offering like that, it could get some traction.
Yeah, and the amount of money will mostly be too low to make it, to change the fate of life. But having the names, from the Presbyterian Synod, that gives a lot of clout, and that's the clout that we want, even if it's only $190.
So I think again, this would it makes sense for this to happen through the alliance, not through CRSGB. I think CRSGB needs to be more professional and scientific and credible and serious. And I think the alliance is around approaching, again, clubs, chapters, churches, communities, congregations, and so on, assembling together and then collecting membership fees and so on. I think that's the more appropriate place for that. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's one, that's one aspect of it, but another is for these moral leadership organizations to put a little bit of money where their mouth is and say, we're actually committed to humanity, right? Because who else is, other than the Presbyterian Church and I don't know what we Jews do, but a little bit from Interfaith Power and Light. Again, $190 is fine, or $180, but it gives us the authority that we need, along with the insurance companies. These are the organizations that have total skin in the game, and so it makes sense for them to be known contributors. And so there are other environmental groups. I mean, even Earth Day Network.
Very good.
Yeah, it's great that you brought up the insurance companies because that gets a whole
Oh, yeah. Oh,
list-
that's a whole nother
list of-
world, and they are very interested in this. Yeah. Because they're,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, stakeholders. That's who you want to invest money, is stakeholders.
All right. Well,
The time has come.
the time has come for us to leave this event, and I will send out the meeting invitations for you and Peter F. and me and Brian to get together for
And I
something.
just need addresses for Jim Lerner and for Julia Detterer.
Okay.
Julia, I probably have. I definitely have.
I'll see you all next time then.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
For
you.
sure.
Thank you.
good work.
Good work. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
I'm here because if I end it, then you guys are ended. So.
That's right. That's right. I've got Julia's coming right in. There you go, Julia's. And who knows, I may have Jim Lerner's. Anything's possible. No. Okay.
Right.
Okay, you got enough?
Yep, I got it. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you
guys.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.